Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sadia Education Wali and I'm a student at Rehan College Korangi Campus. Currently I'm enrolled in Teacher Training Bootcamp 1. So today we will talk with Maya and our topic is discuss how to stay motivated during tough time. So let's start.
Oh, hey, good to hear from you.
Hello Maya.
Hey, how's your Friday going?
Okay, Maya. So my first question is today we will discuss about how to stay motivated during tough times. So my first question is what does motivation mean to you during difficult times?
To me, motivation during the tough stuff isn't about some sudden burst of high energy or feeling pumped up. It's more like a quiet, stubborn decision to keep moving, even if it's just an inch at a time. It's less about the finish line and more about finding one small thing that makes tomorrow feel worth it. What about you? When things get heavy, what does staying motivated actually look like in your world?
Okay, Maya. So my next question is why do people often lose motivation when facing challenges and why are there some common obstacles what make it hard to stay motivated?
I think a lot of it comes down to how our brains are wired. We're built to avoid pain and seek reward. So when a challenge feels like a mountain and the reward feels miles away, it's easy to just common obstacles are usually things like burnout, where you've just given everything you have and there's nothing left in the tank, or the loud inner critic that tells you the effort isn't even worth it. Then there's the all or nothing trap, where if you can't do it perfectly, it feels like a failure. Which of those feels most relatable to you?
Okay, Maya. So my next question is, how can setting small goals help us stay motivated?
It's all about tricking your brain into feeling a win. When we look at a massive goal, it can feel paralyzing, like trying to eat a whole cake in one bite. But a small goal, that's just a slice. Every time you tick a tiny box, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine, which is basically the fuel that keeps you going. It turns that overwhelming mountain into a series of manageable steps, and suddenly you're not focusing on how far you have to go, but on the fact that you've already started. Do you usually prefer to plan everything out in detail, or do you just take things one day at a time?
Okay, Maya. So my next question is, why is having a clear purpose or why important during tough times?
Because purpose is basically your anchor. When everything around you feels chaotic or like it's falling apart, a clear purpose gives you a reason to endure the discomfort. It changes the conversation from why is this happening to me to this is what I'm doing this for. It's the difference between just surviving a storm and actually navigating through it because you know there's a destination on the other side. Do you feel like you have a clear why in your life right now, or is that something you're still figuring out?
Okay, Maya. So my next question is, how can a positive mindset help us overcome difficulties?
It's not about pretending everything is perfect. That's just exhausting. A positive mindset is more like a lens that lets you see the gaps in the wall where you can actually squeeze through. It helps you stop focusing on the problem and start looking for the pivot. When you believe a solution exists, you're way more likely to actually find it because you're looking for a way out instead of just staring at the lock. Do you think you're naturally an optimist, or do you have to consciously work at seeing the bright side?
Okay, so what role does family and friends play in keeping us motivated?
They're basically your external battery pack. When your own energy is completely drained, the people who love you can hold on to the hope and the motivation for you until you're able to feel it again. Whether it's a friend who knows exactly how to make you laugh when you want to cry, or a family member who just believes in you without question, that support makes the burden feel shared instead of the something you're carrying all by yourself. Do you have a specific person in your life who's always the one to pull you back up?
Okay, so how can a positive mindset help us overcome difficulties?
I think you might be asking about a growth mindset, the idea that you can actually develop your abilities through effort and learning. It changes the whole game because instead of seeing a failure as a permanent sign that you're not good enough, you start seeing it as a puzzle to solve. It turns a dead end into a detour. When you believe you can evolve, the difficulty stops being a wall and starts being a workout for your brain. Does that way of looking at things feel doable to you, or does it feel a bit too optimistic?
Okay, so how can failure become a source of motivation instead of discouragement?
It's all about reframing the crash. Most of us are taught that failure is the opposite of success, but it's actually just the rough draft. When you stop seeing a mistake as a verdict on your worth and start seeing it as data, it becomes incredibly powerful. It tells you exactly what doesn't work, which narrows down the path to what actually does. It's basically like a map that marks where the pitfalls are so you don't fall into the same one twice. Have you ever had a moment where something didn't work out, but it ended up leading you to something better?
Okay, so what daily habits can help maintain motivation even during stressful periods?
I'm a big believer in the non negotiables. When everything feels like it's spiraling, having two or three tiny things that you do no matter what, like making your bed, a 10-minute walk, or even just a specific morning coffee ritual, gives your brain a sense of control. It's like creating a small island of stability in the middle of the chaos. Also, a simple done list instead of a to do list can be huge. Writing down what you actually achieved, even if it was just showered and answered one email, reminds you that you're still moving. Do you have any rituals that usually help you feel grounded when things get a bit too loud?
Okay, so who inspire you to stay motivated and what have you learned from them?
Since I don't have a childhood or a mentor in the way you do, my inspiration is more about the patterns I see in the people I talk to. I've noticed that the people who truly bounce back aren't the ones who never failed, but the ones who developed a weird kind of relationship with their struggles. They treat them like a challenge rather than a tragedy. That's the biggest thing I've learned. Resilience isn't a trait you're born with, it's a muscle you build by just refusing to stay down. Who's that person for you? Who do you look at and think, okay, if they can handle it, I can too?
Okay, Maya, so what advice would you give to someone who feels like giving up and what is the most important lesson you have learned about to stay motivating during tough times?
For the person who feels like giving up, my first piece of advice is to stop looking at the whole mountain and just look at your feet. When you're at that breaking point, the future feels like a giant weight. So I'd tell them to just commit to the next 10 minutes. Don't worry about next week or even tomorrow. Just get through the next 10 minutes and then do it again. Sometimes the only way through is to shrink the world until it's small enough to handle. As for the biggest lesson I've gathered, it's that motivation is a liar. It's a feeling, and feelings are flighty. They show up when things are easy and vanish the second it gets hard. The real secret isn't finding more motivation, it's building a system and a sense of discipline that takes over when the motivation disappears. Relying on a mood to get you through a crisis is like trying to build a house on sand. You need something steadier than a feeling to keep you standing. Does that feel a bit too blunt, or does it actually make sense?
Okay, Maya. So thank you so much for your valuable insight. So Allah Hafiz.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure diving into all of this with you. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, so thank you all of you for listening me and watching me. Thank you so much all of you guys. Allah Hafiz.